Years ago, I was different than today. I had a loud mouth, had so many things to say. My hair was shorter and I promised it would stay. I'll never touch it till that day you came. Years went by so fast, living life so fast. Finally we saw a light up ahead, but didn't last. It was in time, no. Not the same man, not the same scars. I lost blood, I lost tears, I lost sight. Not the same man, no more blind. Was torn into maybe more and die. I couldn't cry, I had to swallow my tears. I can't run, my legs were broken by fear. I couldn't swim that fast, or maybe that's why. Broken bones, my soul was slipping. Left behind.
Alright. Need to stop the music. What the hell is that? I don't even know. What the hell is that thing? Ah, crap. There it is. Okay. That music's gone. Crappity crap. That is. What's on top? What's on top? Okay. I have to switch back to my camera. There we go. Anyone hear me okay? I have my stream deck. I programmed my my gamepad to switch scenes, so I'm a streamer now, I guess. All right, cool. I don't know why this is not working. This is supposed to work anyway. I guess I'm a streamer now. Can I make some money? Who knows? Anyone can hear me okay? Yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, that is my song. Yeah, and that is me playing guitar and singing, which I know. I'm a pretty cool guitarist, but I could improve on my singing, but who cares? It's fine. Alright guys, welcome to another Sunday stream. Maybe it's not Sunday wherever you live. Maybe it's already Monday. Who knows? You might be in the future. I might be in the past still. But we're gonna talk about stuff today. You guys wanna talk about stuff? We're gonna talk about Linux, because I like Linux. I like Linux. It's not gonna be any fanboy kind of thing. We're just gonna be talking about it. The things do you need to know to use it if you ever want to use it for your personal use, or you end up using it at a studio, which if you go to work to a studio, it's probably the best, the thing you're gonna be using. You might gonna be using Linux, so might as well know how to use the damn thing, right? Right? Am I right? Okay, so we're gonna use Houdini as well today, because Houdini is basically takes inspiration from Unix as well, which all comes from Unix. All the world, all the universe comes from Unix. There was Unix, and then the universe was created from it. Alright, so let's start with this thing. Let's start talking. If you guys have any topics you want to talk about today, let me know and we can talk about them. If you have no desire to talk to me, that's fine. That's fine. You don't have to talk to me. I can be talking here all day by myself. Like I usually do. Anyway, let's start talking about. Let me switch to my fancy transitions. Look at me. But wait, this thing is wrong, because I'm looking in the wrong direction. Yeah. Let me fix this guy. Flip horizontal. There we go. I think that's better. Wait, is this flipped? No, that's fine. Oh, cool. Nice transitions, huh? Putting work on my stream, guys, for you. All right, so let's talk about Unix. And Unix, it's this says it's a trademarked as Unix. Huh? Wow. I didn't know Unix was trademarked. But yeah, it was developed, it says here, in the 70s by Bell. Unix was an operating system for very old computers, but then from that came a lot of other systems, like Solaris is something that is really popular, or was really popular, and now you know where Houdini got the name from. Solaris, right? Solaris. Oh wait, I didn't change the shot, and the shot it's doing something stupid. The shot is not the shot from here. I was like, whoa, the shot is really active today, and it's not. There we go. I had a different shot that I was testing with. Sorry guys. So I'm not gonna talk a lot about stuff or theory or whatever, because I don't know everything. That's my new motto. I don't know everything. Just gonna say that until everybody knows that I don't know everything. So basically, the reason I'm talking about Unix is because Linux came from Unix. Just this guy that likes to curse at people invented this Linux thing. And then that became popular. Probably Linux is on this page. Yeah, BSD and Linux distribution were developed by somebody. Maybe there's a reason to see when Linux was created. I don't think it's really important, but and I also and I also like to make people mad on Facebook, saying that CentOS is stupid, because it is. It's really old, and there's reasons to use it, but there's also reasons not to use it. But yeah, Unix is great. Actually, Mac OS is Unix, so there you go. Even Macs are Unix, so we all love Unix. Not just Windows is not Unix, which is stupid. Windows is stupid. Windows can be stupid. It's fine. So Linux came from Unix, which is great. And the important part here is that wherever you go, you might gonna be using Linux at some point. Like, a lot of companies use Linux. If you see like Pixar behind the scene things, they are using Linux. If you see, I don't know, PDI, does PDI still exists? I think it is. Blue Sky, all those big studios use Linux. Why? Well, because Linux is pretty stable, pretty can take a beating, and it doesn't complain, you know? That's why the internet is built on top of Linux. I can talk to you right now because of Linux. If Linux didn't exist, we couldn't do these Learndays. So thank you, Linux. Thank you. So yeah, isn't CentOS now on version 8? Yeah, I think they just released version 8, but they're still using all libraries plus all kernels that's their definition of stable, which whatever. I mean, it's fine. If you want to use it, use it. If you have to use it, use it. I have my reasons why I don't use it, because I use a ton of things, not just one thing. But whatever, we can talk about that if you guys want to do that, but yeah. So Linux is basically, people have a weird idea about Linux. And I guess I had a weird idea about Linux also. But basically what Linux is this thing. Linux is this kernel thingy. I'm seeing like a freaking line on the stream. Are you guys seeing like a glitch on the stream? Let me see if it looks. Yeah, there's a kind of a weird glitch on. Let's see if I can disable something without killing the stream. What is it that I won't need it to flip in? Flippy? Whatever. Let's see. Yeah, there's like a black line. I'm not sure if it's me. Woo! Okay, seems like it's gone. Okay, cool. So, people have weird ideas about Linux, and there are applications and desktops for Linux, but that is not Linux. Linux is the kernel, basically. which is the kernel is basically the operating system. And the operating system does not have any UI basically, because that's what it is. Linux is just like an operating system. If you guys have seen any operating systems from long time ago, like when you have to put a floppy drive into a machine to boot into MS-DOS or something like that, that's basically what it is. Linux is it's just a kernel. It's just a core that contains the operating system, and that's it. I mean, that's all Linux is. And then people make this huge debacle about, oh, I use this Linux plus this Linux, and that is not really Linux. Linux is, those are distributions that use Linux, but they're not really Linux. So yeah, Linux is just the operating system, the core of it. That is actually Linux. That's why when people says, what version of Linux do you use? I'm like, are you talking about the kernel? Are you talking about an actual distribution? What are you talking about? Because there's no different Linuxes. It's just one Linux, right? I mean, and then people built on top of that. They build things on top of it to make graphical interfaces and etc. And since Linux is free, a lot of people build different interfaces for it because it's free, and people disagree with each other, and they all want to have their own religion. Basically, history of the world, and that's it. And that's it, guys. That's all I wanted to tell you about Linux. We are done. Hopefully you are now masters of Linux, and so you could use just you could just boot to the kernel, I guess, and have a command line interface for it, which it's also like a taboo for people. Oh, command line, dude, I don't want a command line. What am I? Let me fix my camera a little bit, because I'm like in a, should I just move? Yeah, I think that's better if I just move. Okay. People are so afraid of the command line, like, oh my god, the command line, whatever. So no, I'm not saying that through your name truth or you're the truth. I'm not saying that you should just use the kernel. I mean what I mean is that is what Linux is. The other things on top of it are not really Linux. They are distributions. That's what they are called. Command line scary to people like me. I mean, what is it? What is scary about command line? I mean, does it have? There it is. Does it have horns? Does it spit blood or kill your family? I mean, it's not scary, really. It's just an interface. I mean, whatever. Yeah. Maybe you're afraid of memorizing some commands, so maybe you're afraid of memorizing things, I guess. But it's actually super mega useful, and we'll see when it's cool to use it and when it's basically stupid to use it. But yeah, it's very useful. But not everyone has to use it. I mean, we are in what? What is the year today? You know what? Let's start with that. What year is it? Let's ask Google. Don't believe me, right? What year is it? Because maybe I just came from a time machine and I don't know what year is it. And there's a Jumanji reference. Awesome. Jumanji. So let's say there's a website. What year is it? So the current year is 2020. And in 2020, there are so amazing tools and interfaces for Linux that is just crazy. Some people think that Linux is basically the command line, and it's not. I mean, it's not. That is not Linux. I mean, there's an Explorer, of course, like everyone else. You can open shit up. There's menus for browsing. I mean, my menu's in the other monitor, but there's menus. You can have fancy search things for thingies. Houdini, you could say, you can search for fancy things. I mean, there's a bunch of things for Linux and stuff. So it's not the command line is not Linux. Basically, that's what I'm saying. Okay, that is not Linux. Okay, so now let's talk about distributions, because that's the other big thing that people just make a big deal about, and it's fine. It's fine to do that. Distrowatch. I don't even search for these things, but I'll do it for you guys. So Distrowatch is a very popular site that looks like it was made in the 1990s, which is horrible. Even the logo seems like it was made in the 1990s. Whatever. So this is Distrowatch, and basically Distrowatch is the reason why people fight about distributions. So why? Well, because they have this stupid list here that just have this ranking here, which is totally stupid. Why would you have a ranking? Whatever. Seems like what are they based this on? Hits per day. Like this is not even downloads. This is basically just visits to the freaking website. And this I can almost grab it. This freaking list is meaningless. It's totally meaningless. But people treat this list like it was the bread of the gods or whatever deity you put your life to. So, hey Juan, what's up? So yeah, I mean, so this list, the only thing this list says is that MX Linux had this amount of hits per day. Doesn't mean the people that went to that website downloaded that. I mean, who cares about who visits the website? Whatever. I mean, they can argue that, well, if there's a lot of hits on the website, maybe it's because it's popular and people want to download it. Blah, blah, blah. But it's not actually downloads. And even if they had downloads, that doesn't mean people are using it. Like, I can download whatever and not use it. I mean, I could download this Sparky Linux here and not use it because I just download it, didn't work, and trash it. But now I download it, and I'm part of the statistics, I guess. So what I'm trying to do here is, guys, try not to get attached to all these things. Like, I used to jump around Linux a lot. I used to use CentOS. I mean, I've used everything under the sun. Not Sparky Linux here. I haven't used Sparky Linux because it seems like it's a new distribution or something. But I've used a lot of distributions. So what I'm trying to say is, just don't get hung up with what is popular. Just there's the different distributions for different topics. I mean, for different uses. If you have a really old computer, maybe one that is a little bit lighter, it's better. If you have a specific use for like scientific stuff, like maybe Clean Linux, works for you because you don't have to install anything. Or if you're using a server, maybe CentOS is great for servers, and it runs the whole freaking world, which is amazing. If you have a powerful computer, maybe you can run Pop OS or Fedora or Elementary or Ubuntu or Manjaro or Mint or whatever. If you are in the middle of the of a good computer, kind of a good standing computer with a good processor, good graphics card. You can basically use whatever, and they all look amazing. So let's but that's my point about ranting about don't get hung up into distributions or Linux is this, Linux is that. Just use what works for you and what works for your hardware and what works for your workflow or what supports your application. We'll talk about stupid Maya in a second, and I'll explain why I'm calling Maya stupid. And I've used Maya for more than 10 years, so I'm entitled to call it whatever I want. I'm not like a Houdini fanboy that is just saying Maya's stupid. No, I suffered through Maya for 10 years, more than 10 years, so I can say whatever I want about Maya. That gives me the entitlement to do it. And that's my reason, and that's my, I don't know, that's whatever. So let's talk about since I put the title VFX on the word VFX on the title, we should talk about what is good for VFX or what is used for VFX, right? Whoa, what the fuck? One of my paint is just full. Man, the Windows demons are attacking me or something. I don't know. Something's happening. I'm summoning the dark forces of Windows. So let's go to one of the most popular distributions that you hear about in VFX, which is of course CentOS or CentOS. Some people call it CentOS. I call it CentOS because it's fine. Some people call it CentOS. But yeah. So CentOS is CentOS is just the free version of Red Hat Linux. If you guys don't know, there is something called Red Hat Linux or Red Hat Enterprise Linux, which is the reason why people or companies use Red Hat actually, or CentOS for that matter. You can see that Red Hat, which is I think one of the first things I knew about Linux was this little Red Hat thingy. I think the first ever Linux that I installed was, or the first ever distribution that I installed was Fedora, like Fedora 6, I think. When was that? I think Fedora 6 or 7 was. Fedora 6, I want to say. Release date. Let's see if that's too old. Maybe it's not. It was 2006. Yeah, that sounds about right. 2006. I think I installed Fedora 6 from what came in a CD in a magazine. So I installed Fedora and I didn't know how to use it and I was kind of stupid, whatever. So Red Hat Linux, it's a company that makes an operating system or a Linux distribution that is called Red Hat or Red Hat Enterprise Linux, or some people just call it RHEL because the name is stupidly long, and I'm gonna say stupid a lot I guess today. Red Hat Enterprise Linux, it's the reason why people, oh look at that, I have this laptop actually. Seems exactly like my laptop. Red Hat is the reason people use CentOS, and man, I'm ready to bet my kidney on this because Red Hat is the only company that offers enterprise support. So companies, when they buy something, let's say I'm a big studio that I need to buy Linux for all my, I don't know, what do you like? How many workstations will be like in a studio? Like 300, 500 computers? Maybe let's say 500 computers, 3,000 computers, 3,000, no, not 3,000, 300 computers. So they need to buy something and they say, well, we need to buy something that we can write off taxes, dude. because we're not gonna be paying for nothing. We need something that we can write off taxes, and if we multiply that by 300, that's gonna be awesome. So they pay for Red Hat, and they use Red Hat because they see the enterprise war on it, and or maybe Red Hat tells them, you know what, the solution is Red Hat because we have an enterprise version of it, and it's you have to pay for the support, and they do, and that's great. I mean, they have support. If you get stuck of whatever, you can call Red Hat or email them, whatever the way it's done, and then they I guess solve your issues. If you have a big server room or a big cluster of servers and you want to install something that it's reliable and has support and whatever, you maybe go to Red Hat and buy support from Red Hat, right? Because that's the enterprise way to go. Well, the thing is that Red Hat cannot be downloaded directly. Like, you can't use Red Hat. You have to pay support, and then you get access to the software or their distribution of Linux. But Linux is free, and it's under this GPL license that can be contained. Basically, if you do something with Linux, you have to basically make it available. So the way the Red Hat makes available their software and is still able to sell it is there's CentOS. So CentOS is the exact same version of Red Hat without the logos and without the documentation. So if somebody knows better than me, that's great. But what I heard about CentOS is CentOS just basically replaces all the Red Hat logos and all the Red Hat mentions of Red Hat, and then just replaces them with CentOS. So that's exactly what it is. And whatever other proprietary applications they have, or whatever specific applications they sell, they just remove that and then just release it as CentOS. So basically CentOS is exactly the same thing as Red Hat. And you will see that whenever CentOS releases a version, Red Hat just released a version like 1 or 2 weeks ahead of that. So they depend on Red Hat. So Red Hat releases a new version, and then CentOS just releases a new version because they takes a while for them to just remove whatever reference for Red Hat. And yeah, that's basically what it is, and that's why people use CentOS and then start to get popular in developing software, because companies need to pay for support, whatever, and then companies that don't want to pay for support, they say whatever, we just want to have the same software, the same environment as the application was developed in, basically, and they just use CentOS or CentOS, and they just have their own IT department or whatever. And that's basically how that thing happened. So that's basically how the world was created. So the thing is that Red Hat, it's great for enterprise stuff, and it's great for servers, and it's great for things that you're never gonna touch. Like, let's say you're gonna install a server on a server room, and you want it to be just working. You don't want to even update it. You don't want to touch it. You just want it to keep working forever. Just work, dude. The thing you want with CentOS or Red Hat is that it just works. You don't want to touch it. You don't want to do anything to it. So that is great because it does one thing and it does it great. The thing is that works for big people, like for big enterprises that have hundreds of computers or thousands or whatever. But for smaller studios or freelancers like me, like this guy here, that just doesn't work because we're gonna be messing with the OS. We're going to install what? We're gonna install crazy shit like gamepads. I don't know, Wacom tablets. We're going to install Bluetooth mice or mouses or however you say this. Bluetooth mouse. You're going to install a USB. I don't have my USB interface here right now. I put it in the other machine that's back there. But you're gonna install that. You're gonna have all crazy stuff. We're gonna install. I have two 4K monitors here, which not everyone supports yet the scaling and stuff, or most of them is really recent. So, and maybe you want to have like an application like OBS that you want to be streaming and doing all these kind of things. Maybe install other new things, modern stuff, etc. So if you want to do that in something like CentOS, it's really freaking hard. You have to compile a bunch of stuff, and then people suggest to persons to use CentOS, and they just basically said, whatever, man, go have a hard time with Linux because doing stuff in CentOS is hard. I mean, it's hard. They say it's super stable. Yes, it's super stable if you don't want to mess with it, if you don't need to install stuff on it. If you just wanted to put it in a server room and work, it's great. It's great. It's gonna keep working forever. But if you need modern stuff, if you need to add more things, if you want to use it like a daily kind of desktop, is not great for that. It's really not great for that. I mean, I tried, dude. I tried to use it. I really tried. I've used it for years. It's one of those other things that I've used for years. And yeah, it's not simple. It's great. Again, like I said, it's great if you like. There's even systems that run on it, like I don't know, something like Flame that runs on Red Hat, but that machine is only made for Flame. Like you can't really do anything else on it. It's just for that. It's just for that thing. And I'm messing here. So yeah, when it's just something that you're just not gonna touch it, it's great. So yeah, so then there's other options, and people talk about RPM versus Dev or Red Hat things versus Ubuntu, and that's just nonsense. It's just nonsense. But it's fun to, I don't know, I like to trigger people sometimes, like with stupid posts on Facebook. Just ask stupid stuff on Facebook like, oh, CentOS is for servers. Are you a server? I just do that to screw up with people, and some people get the joke, and some people just get really mad at me. But whatever. But I would say that's the reason about CentOS. If you maybe are just installing a big set of machines on a studio that you just want them to be all running one operating system, one software, like let's say Maya, go ahead and do it. And because people at studios, they don't have the ability actually to install anything. If you even go to the studio sometimes with a freaking USB drive, you might get fired. Because I've heard people that say that I've never seen this, but I had never worked in big studios, really. I mean, I'm not gonna fake that because I haven't. I'm not gonna pretend I have, but I haven't worked at big studios like Pixar or DreamWorks or whatever. But I've heard people say that they have, like, there's stuff glued, like glued to the USB port, so you can't really connect anything there. So it's just stupid, but whatever. Um, anyway, so if we go now into the world of people that are not big corporations or smaller companies that want to use Linux for their for VFX and stuff, or a freelancer, somebody personal, what can you use then? So what's the answer there? Well, you can use Fedora. Actually, Fedora is amazing. It's Fedora is. Gosh, this is horrible website, Fedora. Don't send me to the. There you go. So Fedora it's really cool, and they even have like a version 4 server and for workstation, which workstation is the one you want to use if you are using it for your desktop, for work or whatever. Fedora is really nice. I have used it. It's not my preferred application, my preferred distribution, because it's a little bit hard. It still is a little bit requires you to not mess too much with it. I mess with my systems a lot. Like I said, I install a bunch of things, and the more I install things, I tend to break things. And Fedora tends to break sometimes like that. And if you're not like me, if you just install what you need and don't install a lot of things, maybe just Fedora is for you. But it's not for me because, yeah, I do crazy things. I like to experiment. I like to compile shit and stuff. But yeah, Fedora is pretty good. And Fedora they released recently 32, which is great. They're using GNOME 3.36, which is the latest version, and it's really good. There's desktops for everyone. You can use KDE, XFC. You can use whatever you want with Fedora. And we haven't talked about desktops yet, but it's one of those other things that people just get, let's say, excited about. So yeah, Fedora is pretty good. They should be using a pretty recent kernel, maybe 5 point something. Seems like it doesn't say what kernel they're using. It's weird. Fedora is live. Get Fedora. I'm not sure what kernel they're using. Should be 5 point something. 5 is amazing. It's really good kernel. Really? They don't say what is there like a release thingy? Fedora 32 release notes. 5.6, yeah, that's pretty good. 5.6. What do I have here? Let's see what the one I have here. Uname, or I have 5.4. She's better than me. Awesome. Right. So if they're using 5.6, that's great. Yeah, it's the stable one. I guess I'm on the long-term one. Whatever, it's fine. Cool. 5.6 is great. It's great. It's a great kernel. And that's the mentality behind Fedora. Use modern stuff. The other thing is that kernels that are modern, they support all these things right out of the box. You don't have to install any crazy stuff. Also, you can see I have a USB microphone here as well, and a USB tablet, Wacom tablet, and stuff. Gamepad. Already show you this gamepad upside down. But yeah, I mean, all the kernels just support that thing, and that's another great thing about Linux, that you don't really need drivers for a lot of things. Like most of the things just work out of the box. You might need drivers for something like a like a printer, but most stuff just works out of the box in Linux. That's something that is really amazing. Like on Windows, you have to install a bunch of drivers for everything you plugged in, and Linux it just works. You just plug something and it works. It's pretty cool. So Fedora is something that is pretty good for people that are CentOS is using so VFX art. Hey, thank you for that. VFX art is saying that CentOS uses CentOS 7.8, which is what is recommended to use in the VFX platform. It's using kernel 3.10. 3.10. You can see 3.10 is not even in the freaking list here anymore. Like, it's just not even here anymore. I think CentOS 8 jumped to 4 something, or was it 5? I don't think it's 5, but I think it was I don't know. We can maybe take a look here. I mean, they should say, right? CentOS download. This should be 8. I'm not sure why it says 2004 here. Does that mean it's basically 2004 technology? I don't know. This should say what kernel they're using. Kernel. Ah, come on. CentOS 8 kernel version 4.18. Okay, 4.18. It's a little bit better, but it's still kind of old. But it's not the recommended distribution, I guess. It's not the recommended version yet, which is just stupid. If we go to the VFX platform, reference platform is this reference platform it's became a thing to kind of standardize what all the applications are using, because of course it was stupid. A lot of applications were using a lot of different things, and then there was all these things that were breaking between each other, and etc. So the VFX platform kind of trying to standardize what is happening here. A lot of people follow this, but some people don't. And here you can see the versions they recommend for GCC, which is the compiler, which is 6.3. Which, thank you, because man, I mean, a lot of people still using 4.8, which is super old. It's whatever. But I mean, all applications should be on this column right now, which not all of them are. Like Python 3.7 still not standard. Qt12, I think most applications are using. All these things are also libraries that should be for compatibility. Lembic, FBX, etc. But they do have like a CentOS. You can see they recommend Red Hat CentOS that has 6.3, the GCC, but they recommend CentOS 7 still, which is old. What happens is, I'll tell you what happens is that when you compile with CentOS libraries, it becomes basically attached to these old libraries. So if you want to install something like Maya in a modern version of a modern kernel with modern libraries, it's really hard because they depend on really old libraries that had really old technology that, I mean, it's just they really should update. And then it becomes really hard. Like, there are some pretty smart people out there that just they do applications in a way that doesn't depend on all libraries, like Houdini. Houdini, you can install it in whatever, and it's not a dev or or an RPM package. It's just a script that you run. And also, that's something like Clarice is really good. Fusion's pretty good installing in. What else is good? Stuff like Synthesize is really simple to install in Houdini. I mean Linux. I don't. Synthesize comes in. I think it's just a script. Yeah. There's a lot of things that they are just really smart about, not depending on the specific distribution they are using to develop. But yeah, it's really. I don't think it's wise to develop an application like say Maya. Maya is a clear example because Maya is just really hard to install in other distributions. It's not smart to just make it depend on those really old libraries. Is the reason Maya is allowed to move forward because of Studio's older assets? It's not the studio assets really. Also in VFX, it's really slow to upgrade to the new versions because again they have like 300 computers or 500 computers, and that means if they're I know studios right now they are using like Maya 2013 and they don't want to upgrade. Why? Well, because they have to pay for 300 licenses. I mean, it's a lot of money. So they rather just don't upgrade. Like, is Maya working? Yeah, just keep using it until it breaks. And that's what people call stability. Yeah, I have worked with studios that they're using literally Maya 2013 or maybe even older stuff. So yeah, if you think like, let's say I'm not sure how much a license of Maya is. Like let's say it's $1,000. I know it's not, but if you multiply that by 300 licenses, that's a lot of money, and it's not $1,000. The license of Maya is like what, 3,000, 2,000, I guess. I think, I don't know. But yeah, it's that thing that studios sometimes is just say, well, also we have all our tools done for this version of Maya. If we upgrade, whatever, it's gonna be different, and they don't want to do it. But yeah, I mean, this is a huge topic. I don't want to just. So now let's move on to what I use. Because this is all about me, and I'm gonna say it in full screen. All this is just about me. What I do. I'm just kidding. But I get this question a lot. Like people ask me, what do you use? Hold on, there's a question. Jonathan says, do you think Blender will become the new Maya in studio? I don't know. I think Maya is slowly staying behind. I think if somebody will take the throne, whatever that means, I think will be Houdini. Houdini will take the throne, and maybe it will be in some studios in tandem with Blender. I don't think Blender is gonna take the throne, really. Blender is really good. I have Blender installed. I use Blender for some things and whatever. And I'm working with some friends making a short film in Blender. But I have Blender here. You can see I use it for things. Like I model this thing in Blender. But I don't think it's gonna become the new standard soon for studios. it might become the new standard for freelance and small studios, and that's great. That's amazing. I mean, it's amazing for that. If you are a freelancer or just an artist or a small studio, Blender's pretty good for you. It has a bunch of cool things, Blender. It still has a way to go. There's still things that need to be developed in Blender to become like a studio standard, and that's all. That also depends on people using it. Like if there's no Blender users or professional users, there's no Blender in studios, and there's some things missing in Blender. Like all the VFX stuff is not good. Doing effects in Blender is just something that is just like, nah, whatever, I'm not gonna do it. So it still needs to do that. I'm glad they now have BDV support and Alembic support, which is great. That would make it be like an option for people, like a better option or usable option. But yeah, I think there's still a way to go for Blender, although they are doing amazing things. So again, like I said, let's go back to whatever I do. So people ask me a lot, what do you use in your thingy? Well, I use Pop, and I love Pop OS. And when I saw it first, it seemed like a toy. Like I was like, oh man, this is a toy distribution. But then I started looking at it and I was like, oh wait, this is actually good. I can turn this to dark mode, which of course, dark mode, if I was a Jedi, I will be in the dark side of the Force, sorry. Yeah. If black Jedis are bad, I will be on the dark side of the Force, sorry. Yeah. Sorry to disappoint you, all of you. I'm sorry. Man, I'm just saying crap today. So Pop OS seemed like a toyish kind of thing at first. Then I started to look at it and it was like, I was having issues with, like I was using CentOS, like, just let me switch to this. So, come on, dude, it's not working. So, this is kind of my journey for the last years, I guess. So I use Linux exclusively to do VFX. I mean, I do other things, but the main thing is that I need to do visual effects. So I have been using, before that I was using CentOS. Yes. And I was like, CentOS is just not good for me. It's super slow. It was super slow. It was not great experience. It broke a lot of things when you wanted to install even something like VLC, FFmpeg. Oh my god, codec supports like 265, 264, etc. And I said, well, I'm just gonna use Fedora then. It's the modern version of it. So I tried Fedora. I used Fedora for a while. It was fine, and then it started breaking. I don't know why, but the Fedora kind of, over the months, Fedora kind of started like going, kind of like Windows. The more you used it, the worse it was performing. I don't know why, but that's how it was. So then after that, I said, well, what the hell am I gonna use now? So I tried Ubuntu before. I didn't like Ubuntu. I don't like Ubuntu. But I have used Linux Mint before, actually. I think I used Linux Mint before Fedora. And Linux Mint was great. Linux Mint is based on Ubuntu and it was nice. And I was using the KDE version of it. And I was like, no, I think I switched to Linux Mint after Fedora. I don't know. I don't remember. But then I was using a Linux Mint, which Linux Mint is another really good alternative. A lot of people like it. And let's go open Linux Mint. Mint. So I liked Linux Mint. I was having fun with Linux Mint, and then they discontinued the KDE version, which is what I like to use. And I was like, dude, really? So I said, well, what do I do now? Well, after Linux Mint discontinued KDE, I said, well, I'm gonna use Kubuntu, because that's Ubuntu without the Ubuntu-ish, and it's more KDE-ish Kubuntation. So I went to Kubuntu, and it worked fine. It was okay, but I wasn't totally happy. Kubuntu was having issues with 2 monitors. and some things that I have enabled, like I have enabled all GPUs for tweaking the fans of the graphics card. So if you don't know, there's a way to here your graphics card enable these GPU fan settings. But when you do that, Kubuntu wasn't playing nice with the 2 monitors. If you wanted to maximize an application in 1 monitor, it didn't. It was just considered like 1 monitor. So I was having issues with KDE, really, and it was KDE the issue. So after that, I said, well, what am I gonna do now? So I heard about this Pop! OS thing. And I've always wanted to buy a laptop with Linux on it from the factory, and I know about System 76 because they are a hardware company, which is one of the other things that I like about Pop! OS. So I said, well, I'm gonna try Pop! OS, and I installed it on my laptop, and it worked like amazingly great on my laptop. And so I said, yeah, I'm gonna put it on my desktop and see if it actually if it can actually handle a big system. And it did. And I mean, it was good. And I was it was a hard time for me transitioning from KDE to GNOME again. But I say, well, I'm gonna try it. And so I tried, and I like it now. I think it's nice. I like how it works. Pop! OS, one of the big things about Pop! OS is that it comes with NVIDIA support. And a lot of people say, well, Ubuntu also has support for NVIDIA, whatever. They don't have support like Pop! OS has support for NVIDIA. Like, if you go to download here, you can see there's 2 different downloads. There's one for NVIDIA and there's one for just normal. This says that it comes with the proprietary NVIDIA drivers pre-installed, and I always use NVIDIA video cards because AMD is not great on Linux. Sorry guys, the drivers for AMD they are not great on Linux. They are far away from great on Windows anyway. So I always use NVIDIA graphics, and just seeing that they have already NVIDIA pre-installed, it was like, okay, this is cool. This is nice because I don't have one step less to install the damn drivers. If you have installed the NVIDIA drivers in CentOS, oh my god, you know what a pain that is. I mean, it's a pain. If it works, it's a pain. If it doesn't, oh god. And don't get me into if you want to update it. Because, yeah, there's some drivers in some repositories, but whatever. So, the way that Pop! OS has NVIDIA on the ISO is they always use NVIDIA. Like, the first ever graphic you see when you are installing the OS is NVIDIA already working. Like, it's never anything else. There's no like a there's I don't even think there's a fallback, and that's why they support they have two versions. If you don't have an NVIDIA card, don't use that because it's not gonna work. I don't think it works. So you should, if you don't have an NVIDIA card, you can still use it, but you use the other version that doesn't enforce the NVIDIA driver, right? So that is really amazing because it's not like for example Ubuntu has NVIDIA drivers, but it installs them when you are installing the application, the system downloads the driver and installs it. It's not using it from the beginning. That is really big because sometimes when you have an NVIDIA card on your system and you put an ISO, it doesn't work from the start. Some people say, well, what does it matter if the driver is installed after? Well, the thing is that sometimes you put the damn USB in your computer and it doesn't read it. There's issues with the driver, there's issues with the graphics card. Before I had to just unplug the damn thing of the graphics card, even remove the graphics card, plug it in the motherboard directly, the whatever graphics card house was on the motherboard, if you have that, and then install, and then later install the NVIDIA drivers, which was stupid. It's totally stupid. But now with Pop! OS, it's really simple. You just put the damn thing and it works, and it's just amazing. I mean, I have to do nothing when I install Pop! OS. Like, I don't even have to touch my computer at all, which is great. It's really, really great. And the other thing about Pop! OS is they are a hardware company. Like, they sell hardware. Their business is the hardware, is not the system. So they sell laptops, which it's hard to get working. It's one of the hardest things to get working on Linux laptops. You know, support for media buttons and touchpads and webcams and Bluetooth and Wi-Fi. So they are a hardware company. So they work on drivers as well they don't just have the distribution. They do actually create drivers. They create drivers for stuff. They make stuff work. So yeah, they sell really good hardware actually. Oh, what is this? Well, it's like a mini. Oh, wow. And they sell desktops and laptops and etc. So their interest on having an OS is really good because they're always, I mean, if their OS doesn't work, they basically they're effed, right? Because they are selling something with an OS. If it doesn't work, they're effed, right? So there's a lot of interest for this distribution to actually work. The updates need to be really, really, really tested to work, and they test them on real hardware, which is really amazing. I mean, if I might hate a little bit to make this example, but they are maybe the closest thing to how the Mac environment works, right? They develop a specific system for a specific hardware in a way. So yeah, I mean, that's all points that I really, really like about Pop! OS. And it's really modern. You have really, really modern, really recent drivers for everything, and it works great. I mean, it works out of the box. You never have to see a command line when you install it. Somebody asked me that, and he was pretty happy. I don't know why, but yeah. So that's what I use. You can use whatever. That's my reason to use it. I've been using it for a while. I don't plan to stop using it. There's nothing for me to make me stop using it right now. I'm pretty comfortable with it. I'm gonna keep using it. All right, so that's my reasons. So let's see. There's a few questions here. I answered this about Maya. I answered that about Blender. Pavel saying, what do you use for Photoshop and After Effects in Linux? Well, I don't use After Effects. I don't need After Effects. So I don't have a replacement for After Effects because I don't need it. Photoshop, I actually, well, there's depends on what you want to do in Photoshop. If you want to paint, there is Krita for painting, which is amazing. Krita, it's amazing for painting. So if you want to do painting, if you use Photoshop for that, let me know what do you use Photoshop for. Like, this is Krita, and Krita is amazing for painting. It has some of the most amazing brushes I have ever seen. So if you use it for painting you're covered with Krita. There's super nice brushes and layers and whatever. If you want to edit pictures or edit images, there's GIMP, and GIMP it's great for editing pictures, but it's not great for painting. If you want to use basic compositing, you can do what I do. I use Fusion actually for that. I use Fusion for doing that actually. Let's see, I can show you. I open just Fusion. I use Fusion basically like Photoshop. I generate the thumbnails for this stream in Fusion. Here you can see this is the timeline for the stream here, and I generate this here, and it's actually pretty simple. If you use Photoshop, you can just say, okay, this is my image, and then this is a layer. This is a transformer actually, and then this is a layer. We just put this image on top of this, which is my head on the side, because why not? And then you just put stuff on top, just like Photoshop. Like, just put things on top, text on top, text on top. So yeah, merge basically are just layers, and then you can just use text that you put into a previous layer, and then you just layer it on top of the previous image, and then you just export it. And actually, I use Fusion a lot, like Photoshop. I use it a lot for doing just things like that, or basic comps. Like, I think this is a comp. I don't know what I'm doing here. Yes, this is a comp for this thingy that I was doing. I was actually fixing the composition of this. Fusion is made by Blackmagic Design, and it's free. It's free. This standalone version is the pro version. So the free version, it's inside Resolve, but it's still basically the same kind of UI. If you want this professional version, you need to buy it, which is, it's like $300 or $200. I don't know. How much is it, guys? I don't remember. But I got this. Actually, I got this. Have this dongle, which basically is a dongle for using DaVinci Resolve, which they give you when you buy a camera from them. And this actually was given to me by a friend that had bought like a few cameras, and he said, well, I have a few of those dongles, you want one? I said, like, sure, of course. And it works for Resolve, using the pro version of Resolve, and using Fusion standalone as well, which is great. So if you buy a camera from them, they will get it for free, basically. Blackmagic Design. If you buy it, or if you just buy it, you don't have to buy it because it's actually free. But if you buy one of these cameras, like the pocket camera, whatever, they come with a dongle for Resolve, and then you can use it for Fusion as well. Let's see where the thing is. I never come to this website. I always go directly to support. but I guess that's not the way to do it. DaVinci Resolve and Fusion. Yeah, it's $2.99 if you want to buy the professional version of it. And it gives you this $2.99. It's for you can use both Resolve and Fusion, and they do. I think somebody asked about Resolve, right? Does Nuke work in Pop OS? Of course it works in Pop OS. I think I even have it installed. Do I? No, I don't. I should basically. I should install Nuke, but yeah, Nuke works fine. I mean, we can actually let's install it live so you guys can see one of these things installing, because people think. Let's see, maybe let me just download it, Nuke, and we can install it together. And you will see that it's pretty simple, just like any other thing you install. Foundry, they're not called the Foundry now, they're just Foundry, okay? They are kind of very serious about that. Yeah, about being Foundry now. They don't like to be called the Foundry anymore. So let's just install it here live. Let's say I do have a license for it, but I think it's expired. Let me log in. I'm just doing it here on the other monitor because I'm putting my password, and I don't want you guys to steal my password and then read my porn and stuff like that. Did I say that? Shouldn't be saying stupid things like that. I could get blocked or something on YouTube, whatever. Let's see. I'm on my thing. Nuke non-commercial. Where can I download it? Download. No, there's no download button. Nuke. Try it for free. Okay, I'm gonna try it for free. I'm individual. Yes, start my free trial. I don't know why I got the free trial. I should have get the non-commercial, I guess. I don't know. So I'm gonna download it to whatever. I'm downloading on the other monitor, guys. I know you're not seeing that, but I'm just doing that pretty quickly. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Oh, here it is. Oh, it's still not finished. Come on. Come on. Okay, so yeah, that is one thing. We can install some applications if you want. We can talk about the console, which is great. We can install Houdini as well if you want. I can let me get a new version of Houdini that I can install. Houdini does require the command line to install. There is a launcher that is in beta that you can install. See, I'm not gonna show you something because you might see something that I don't want to see here. Download. Here, you can see there is, if you go to download, there is the official version. Of course, it works on Linux, but there's this launcher. Launcher is in beta, but I don't like to use it. I don't know why. It's nice, but I don't know why it crashes my computer sometimes. It gets stupid for some reason. I don't know why. But I'm gonna download this version of Houdini. I'm gonna put it on my temp directory. Are you installing on bare metal? Of course I'm installing. Virtual machines are stupid. You should never test with Linux on a virtual machine. It's just stupid. It's not the same. It's not gonna represent what Linux does. You shouldn't do it. No, it's not installed on a virtual machine. You should not install Linux on a virtual machine for serious stuff like using Houdini. It would not give you the performance or the actual idea of how it works. It will just make you miserable and not give you a good representation of what it is. So yes, you should not use. I mean, if you just want to see it, if you just want to look at it, put it on a virtual machine. But if you want to use it, do not use it from a virtual machine, because it's just not gonna be the actual experience of what it is to use the OS. No OS works right or good in a virtual machines. Okay, so I downloaded two things here. So you guys, I'm gonna close Houdini, I guess, and I downloaded two things here. Just put them on a folder, and we're gonna install Nuke and we're gonna install Houdini. So I'm gonna install Nuke first. You can see it's just zipped or compressed into this Targa, or no, it's not Targa, Tarball, sorry. And then you can see you can just right click on it and say extract here, and you just extract it. And then this is Nuke is one of, or Fusion Foundry is one of the other companies that are intelligent about how they make installers. So they just have this run script. You can try double clicking on it, but it's not gonna work, because you have to, you can see this is starting to open it as a, are you seeing my screen, right? Okay. It's starting to open it as a text file, but we can just right click on it and make it executable here. Okay, it is executable. So if it doesn't work like that, yeah, it's not being executable. So guess what? We have to use the command line. So let's just click here, open in terminal, right click on it, open in terminal. Here in the, I right click here on the folder here. Right click, open in terminal. So we're just gonna, we can run it from terminal in this case, because it just, the installer doesn't run by default. So we can do two things. We can, I mean, I'm not sure why this is not, because it is as a thingy. It is set as executing as a program, but I don't know why it's not executed. So let's try just running it. Like, you can just do dot. Let me make, but the text bigger, I guess. How do you make the text bigger in this thing? Doesn't work. Preferences. Bigger. There we go. So we have the command line. It doesn't bite. If you type ls for listing, you can list stuff. And you can list thingies. Like you can see, it's just basically the same thing as this, but here, and it's the same thing. We can put this thing side by side, put it this one here and this one over here, and we have the same thing. ls list. We can say // to run something. Let's try running Nuke, and you can see now it's running Nuke. It's just running the installer. This is just the EULA, or the license agreement. You can see again, if you just want to run it, // and I type NU and then tab to just complete. If it finds that whatever starts with that, it just auto completes that. So I'm just gonna press enter, and it tells you the license. You can press enter to read the whole thing. I'm just gonna press Q to just skip it, I guess. And it says, do you accept the license? Then I'm gonna say, yes, I accept the license, Mr. Nuke. And it just says, where do you want to install Nuke? By default, it's gonna install it here in your, by default, we'll install it in this folder, which you might not want to do that, to install it in that folder, because it's the temp folder. So let's say no, I don't want to do that. And it just ignored me, basically. Look at that, it's installing there. Oh man, this is wrong. I mean, I remember this thing was a graphical installer. Why is it doing this now? But now it just extracted everything and installed it there because whatever, right? So I'm gonna just delete everything, because why would it do that, dude? Come on. Really? Why? Why do they do that? This is just stupid. I guess this is a new installer, I guess. I don't know. Because I think this thing was... Let's try doing... Change mod Nuke. Let's see if I can run it now. No. Yeah, I guess this is a new installer because it used to be a graphical installer. Whatever. So let's do it this, but let's just put sudo for basically sudo basically means install this as an administrator in a way. So I'm gonna install it in the proper direction. So hold on, that is not right. Sudo installer. This one, I'm gonna install that one, and it's asking for my password, and it doesn't show anything. Now it's just okay. I accept the license. Wow, it still want to install it there. That's, man, I was just giving them props for the installer, and then they're just saying stupid things. Do you want to include a subdirectory? You know what? I'm gonna say yes. Whatever. Install it there, Nuke. Whatever. Just install it, because if not, it's gonna make a mess. Yeah, I was just giving it props about their installer, and then they came up with this crap. Whatever, dude. So I don't know. They changed the installer. It used to be a graphical installer. Now it's just basically extracting the thing. Okay, so now you have this Nuke